Hi everyone. I know that math and social studies are usually the hardest sections for people to pass, so I wanted to make a video about the math today. Um, and I'll use my course for the content. So let me just show you guys um, how to do a little bit or how to figure out some concepts. So competency one's on instruction and assessment, more on how to teach. So I'm going to skip to competency 2, which is more where people need help. So competency 2 is all about knowing concepts related to numbers, operations, algorithms, and the properties of math. Okay, so I have a video that explains this competency, but this video will be a little bit more brief because I'm not going to talk about the entire competency. We'll just talk about this first part. So you have to know the properties of math. So you need to know the commutative property, the associative property, and the distributive property. And I have an easy way for you guys to learn this. So with the commutative property, when you commute to work, let's do actually, one second. We're going to actually start with the associative property, okay? So the associative property, when you associate things together, you put them together, right? So we have 2 plus 1 plus, and these properties work for the commutative and the associative, work for both addition and the multiplication, but not for subtraction or division. This will be the same as 2 plus 1 plus 3 with the parentheses moved. So the associative is about grouping, about parentheses. So think about AP, associative parentheses, kind of like assistant principal. Maybe that will help you remember it. So the associative property is when you move where the parentheses are. You change the grouping. Associative property, associative parentheses. Okay, now we have the commutative property. When you commute to work, what are you doing? You're moving from point A to point B, right? So 2 plus 1, that should be a plus. This is kind of hard to write on. Plus 3 is the same thing as 1 plus 2 plus 3. So we can change the order of what we add, the addends, and we'll get the same answer. That's called the commutative property. These both work for multiplication. We could change these addition signs to multiplication, and this would be the associative property of multiplication, and this would be the commutative property of multiplication. Distributing is a little bit trickier, but it's really not that bad. So let's look at the distributive property is when you have a term on the outside of parentheses, and then 2 terms on the inside, and we distribute across, and there's either multiplication, addition, or subtraction here. All right, so we're going to take n times 2n, which would be 2n squared, and again, this is the distributive property. And then we have a minus sign here, so we're going to keep that minus sign. We're going to do n times 3, which is 3n. So when we distribute n times 2n minus 3, we get 2n squared minus 3n. So that's the distributive property. It will only happen when an expression includes multiplication and addition or multiplication and subtraction. Okay, so here's another example with just numbers. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 2 times 2 plus 2 times 1. So it would be 4 plus 2, which is 6. So another way to do that would be 2 times 3, right? Which is also 6. So those are the properties you have to know, and I try to do it in a simple, easy to understand way where you can remember. Like I said, commuting, you're changing the location, right? Associative, you're changing the grouping, and distributive is when you distribute across. So that concludes this video. But if you found this helpful, you might be interested in my math courses. You can go to coursesubjects.net. And I also have practice tests to help you check your understanding. But the most important way to study is to get a good study guide or a good course and do that from start to finish. So hopefully this helped you understand these properties. And if you need tutoring or would like help with anything, please give me a call or shoot me an email. Thanks.